and welcome to the Seahawkers podcast. I'm Brandon Schultz, and I am joined by a couple of my good buddies. We've got Clinton Bonner. We've got Adam Emmert. Adam, it is free agency opening day. How you doing, buddy?
I'm a little tired. 8.5 hours on the road, coming back from a job. Just walked in the door ready to do this. So I apologize to everybody ahead of time for all the dumb things I'm about to say. Also, too, most of the information I've gotten to this point have just been from Bleacher Report badge alerts and just a little bit of your guys' text. So I'm going to be really curious to see some of the more of the details of, who went where, the contract numbers and all of that, Clinton. And, Jason here in the comments, little bittersweet today. And I agree.
Yeah, that's how the day started with the blow. We'll get into all the, the mechanics of what happened today. We'll go blow for blow, but it's not how you start, it's how you finish. And if we have to remind everybody, we are the champions of the world. We currently have the Lombardi. So we're not going to chase dumb dollars on day one. And we're not going to quote unquote win the off season on day one because we won the season last time. So, again, a little bittersweet today, but there's some cool stuff to talk about too. And Brandon, in general, also, is there no end in sight for the unholy alliance of the wide receiver market at this point? We have our guy to talk about. I'm pretty pumped, but man, some of the numbers wide receivers we're getting were blowing my mind all day long.
Yeah, well, I think to start that off, Mike Evans going to the 49ers for, gosh, what was it? Nearly 20? $30 million a year, something like that.
20. No, I think it was.
Was
20.
it only 20? Okay. Oh, it was 20 over 3 years.
Yeah.
So $60 million contract. We'll have to see how it works out eventually, because that could end up being a very short-term contract with a lot of money up front. And we'll have to see. We've got Misfit in the chat joining us. Rams and 49ers must be pissed that we kept Shaheed.
Yeah, I'm sure. And it's funny because you bring up the Mike Evans things right out of the gate. And it's fun to watch the 49ers be in desperation mode to try to catch back up and be relevant in this division. And I don't think this moves the needle, because you said Mike Evans went. I think you misspoke. I think you meant to say the corpse of Mike Evans.
Old man Mike Evans.
Yeah.
Yeah, the 49ers are just getting younger and faster, guys.
Right. Yeah, with the 50-50 ball guy himself. I mean, Evans is great career, very nice. But this is, I don't know, guys. This is when you probably don't want to be investing heavily in a dude that, like Evans, and I mean, whatever. $20 million a year is a lot of money. I'm officially, as a Seahawks fan and as maybe the Cooper Kupp truther on this particular podcast, he's looking more and more like a bargain, boys. Because when you see Wan'Dale Robinson get $19 million a year, again, the stuff is just bonkers. For the 49ers, though, Brandon, I mean, what do you think? Is it desperation mode with Mike Evans? Is it a good move because they really don't have much else there? He's kind of old, yeah.
He's kind of old. I think the Niners are in a little bit of desperation mode when it comes to the wide receiver spot, based on their history. Who knows? Maybe Chubby Debo will be going back to Ninerland here before we know it.
Who cares about the Niners? We have things that happen to the Seahawks here.
Well,
let's go.
Let's start off with maybe some people that we don't have to care about anymore. Although I am going to miss Kenneth Walker, but he was one of the first signings to be announced on Monday, and it was to the Kansas City Chiefs. And we'd kind of heard a little bit of talk about K9 going to Kansas City, and it was just a question of how much would he get. And it turns out, he got the most of any free agent running back ever in free agency, a 3-year. Early reported 43, reported upwards, or at 53 years, 45 million. So, yeah, right around that $14 to $15 million a year mark, Adam. Just about right where you pegged it.
Yeah, I really thought 15 would be right about where it's at. Now, again, I'm not going to take a victory lap on that because I took that from Jeremiah Searles, and he's from the O-line committee, agent in the league, and has some connections to the Seahawks. So that's kind of where I felt like he had some information there that probably was relevant. But this is great for K9. And so first and foremost, like, keep getting them checks, buddy. Like, we're going to say that a few times tonight because I'm really happy for him. What a fantastic deal for him. He gets paid $15 million a year. And he gets to have an even more reduced workload because I'm pretty sure Andy Reid truly believes that every time he calls a run play, somewhere in the world, a cheeseburger goes uneaten and thrown into the trash can. And so he just refuses to do it. So, like, he won't have to run the ball that much, and he's going to get paid very handsomely. Good for Kenneth Walker. You said guys that we will have to care about. I will always care about Ken Walker. It's a little bit like Russ for me as well. Like, that's still my quarterback in a lot of ways. So nothing but love for Kenneth Walker. Thank you for everything that you brought to the team. Thank you for bringing us a championship, in carrying us through the Super Bowl, being the MVP. And I hope he has great health, great success, and we don't have to play him next year in the Super Bowl.
Guys, the only deal that broke a faster deal, quote unquote, was the Dolphins kicking Tua out the door. Like, that was the only thing I heard about before this one went down. So maybe, just maybe, there was some tampering before it was legal to get this deal done. Potentially, we don't know for sure. We don't know what to say.
No, not throwing any accusations out there, but the Chiefs were definitely cheating and should be docked a draft pick.
Yeah, we should get a draft pick for this at least, and beyond the comp pick. This one hurts the most for me because this was still a range for me that I think Ken Walker is a very special talent. And I look at the rest. I would love to talk with you guys about the remaining running back class, because it was like, okay, he's gone. And then my brain's like, okay, well, maybe Kenneth Gainwell. And then nope, $7 million a year later, he gone. And I'm like, all right, well, maybe Tyler Algier. And then nope, the Arizona Cardinals get, I don't know who Tyler Algier's agent is, but he did not do a great job. A, went to the Cardinals. B, a 2-year deal. Two years? Why only 2 years? At 6.125.
Yeah, why not take a 1-year deal at that? At that
Correct.
Point?
Right. Exactly. Take a 1 for 8 or something like that, or one and just bet on yourself, because now you got to go to the Cardinals. So good move by them. Don't want to give them any credit, but that's a nice move. And I think I did not want Rico Dowdle whatsoever. And there's a bunch of other dudes that I think you might as well punt into the sun, just draft. So
well, Justin in chat does ask now, are there any free agent running backs out there that interest you?
Yes. There's 2 still that are on the board, but again, you're going to hear these names, and do they come close to the talent of K9? I don't think so. I do like Sean Tucker out of Tampa Bay. I always thought he was good, and whenever he got a chance, because Bucky Irving got injured a lot, and I think Rachaad White is the jag of all jags. Like, I don't want nothing to do with Rachaad White, just the guy of all just the guys. But when Sean Tucker got his chances, he's big and broke a lot of tackles. I liked him. And then Keaton Mitchell is the exact opposite from the Ravens, right? He's kind of the Kenneth Gainwell who didn't get as many chances so far in his career, but super fast.
A stretch.
Well, I mean, Kenneth Gainwell was a stretch until halfway through this year. Also, when Keaton had, like, 2 years ago, when he got opportunities, he was white hot for a couple of weeks before they got their big horses back. So, it's just the talent is there. That's all. Again, that's Adam for me. That's why I really would have loved to retain K9, but we kind of knew weeks ago that this was not going to happen.
Yeah, it's interesting. When we'll talk about this, I think more when we talk about Shaheed, would you rather have K9 at 14-15 or Shaheed at the number that he came in at for this team? What makes the most sense? So I think that's an interesting conversation. Obviously, John Schneider made his decision. And in this case, really, it's tough to go against John and, like, question him after what he's done the last 2-3 years and bringing us another Lombardi here. So I have to think that he's probably smitten with one of the backs not named Love in the draft. And that would be
interesting too, because Love was one of the guys who was being projected to Kansas City in the draft. And now
he won't get past the Titans.
Yeah, probably not.
So, but with that said, of the remaining free agents, did Ford get signed from the Browns?
Not yet.
That would be a guy, because really what you're asking is, of these free agents, who could come in and be a guy that could actually take the carries and help the running game just stay on target just a little bit until Sharps can get healthy, and then maybe work alongside a rookie as well if you're able to pick one up here in the draft that you like.
Yeah, of the remaining free agents at running back, just looking down the list, Joe Mixon, Najee Harris, Austin Eckler, Nick Chubb
No, God, no.
One interesting one would be with Travis Etienne going to the Saints. Now, is Kamara going to be available via trade?
The corpse of Alvin Kamara? Like,
I mean, how we just need him for what, half a season?
Still catches lots of passes.
I don't know that he can do that.
He's still okay. He's still pretty good. I think he's okay. That would at least be a name and be intriguing, but that kind of feels like Niner land chasing ghosts of 5 years ago past, right? So, and you have to pay a guy like Kamara decent money because he's Alvin Kamara. So, I'm a no thanks. Just thinking about that through. I just don't like what's remaining out there, guys. So I really do think, Adam, that you're right, that there probably is some one or two people that John really likes. And I also think, so it's not just about you put the question out there of, okay, would you rather spend the money on Sheed or K9? In a vacuum, I put the money on K9. And because I think we have a nice complement of wide receivers already, and that assumes Torrey Horton come back healthy. The other thing is, if you retain K9, you don't have to use round 2 or round 3 or maybe even a 32nd pick overall on a running back. And now I kind of feel like you're pretty compelled to spend pretty high capital on a running back. Let's hope John picks great, because I think he's going to have to.
I'm not sad if they spend high capital on a running back. What's more important for this offense, the run game or the pass game?
The run game. That's why you keep K9.
If you can, but
right.
If
Understood.
that number, yeah.
I get it.
It's a high number. It's a high number. Speaking of high numbers,
high-ish.
Boye Mafe going to the Bengals, 3 years, $60 million. So he gets the same contract that the Niners gave Mike Evans, but at a more premium position. And the Bengals not re-signing Hendrickson, who's going to be a free agent. He's still out there and available, but now they replace him with Boye Mafe, Adam.
Just again, congratulations to Boye Mafe. And really, I'm excited for these guys, man. They were here. They helped us get a chip. They upped their value, and now they're cashing in. And I couldn't be more happy for them personally. And just that's great. But when it comes to Boye at that number, absolutely not for the Seahawks. That doesn't make a lot of sense at this point. Because to me, Clinton, I don't know if you feel the same way. I feel like the Bengals are betting on Boye Mafe the same way that we bet on Draymond Jones, where you're like, young guy has shown some flashes, could be a real fit. And then you pay him a bunch of money and then comes in and you're like, man, he's more just a guy than he is a game changer.
Mafe is he's a legit NFL edge, and he's a good run defender, not great. And he puts some pressure on the quarterback and has shown flashes, right? He had a couple of years ago, had a really nice run in the beginning of the year and really faded down the stretch. But he puts pressure on a decent clip. Look, he's a good NFL edge. And right now, NFL edges get paid like NFL wide receivers. If you're decent or good, you get a huge contract. As our fourth edge, and that means DeMarcus Lawrence, please don't retire. You got to make your way back here. But as our fourth edge, are we going to pay him $20 million a year? Or, maybe try to extend Hall if we can early? I don't think there's really much of a choice there. So, hey, good luck. Great job. You're a champion. Nice career coming out of the second round from Boston College, right? Not a huge powerhouse, to be a second round pick by the Seahawks, put in 4 good years and leave as a champion. And now you're absolutely rich with, whatever the guaranteed money is, probably 30 or 40 million. Good for you. And this one was too much of a spicy meatball for me, Brandon, to say we're going to pay our fourth edge that kind of money.
Yeah, I didn't expect him to be back. Of all the guys, I just assumed
Minnesota.
that he was likely gone. So,
well, and also too, Clinton, you were talking about, well, all right, K9's gone, maybe, or Brandon, I can't remember what you said, having to maybe spend that capital early in the draft on replacing that sort of guy. Like, think about where we're at then at edge, because D-Law, there's no spring chicken.
Nope.
Nuosu's no spring chicken.
No.
And you're hoping that you can sign Hall. If you could do it earlier, the better for Hall. But in our text exchange earlier today, Brandon, I thought you made a good point. If I'm Derek Hall's agent,
if you're Derek Hall, you just watch these dollar signs keep rolling up and go, okay, well, now I started ahead of Mafe, so my floor now is a Boye Mafe extension style contract. And yeah, considering he was getting more time, it would be pretty easy to set his floor, gosh, at around 24 million a year right now.
Well, two things. One, I saw the correction, not Boston College. He was a Gopher, Minnesota. I got the gold and maroon mixed up, so thank you for the correction. That's Minnesota for Mafe. The other thing too, guys, Derek Hall in his career, right? His career earnings so far are, this is nice money, but 7.1, very nice money, $7.1 million so far in his career, right? Okay, cool. If you throw, let's say 30 million guaranteed at Derek Hall today, he very well might take it. And you could probably get ahead of this curve and sign a young man who has an incredible amount of upside, had a down year, but down year in terms of sacks, but we all know the talent's there with Derek Hall, and he's only 20, he'll be turning 25 in a couple days, actually. So I'd still try and make that happen if it were me, and I have a inkling, I would think John's trying to make that happen too. Just, to me, it makes sense.
You might try and make that happen. I think you're looking at Witherspoon first, JSN probably second, just because he does have the 5th-year option that you could fall back on, and then you're probably getting to Derek Hall. One guy who's not coming back.
I want all of them. I want all the ones you just mentioned. Please,
that'd be just fine.
Yes.
I would have been happy with Kobe coming back too, but he is going to the Chicago Bears, and I don't have the numbers right in front of me. I think was it 3-year, $39 million contract? It's somewhere in that range, around the 12, 13 a year range.
It was 13 a year. He got more than Cam Curl. I remember that, like by about $1 million a year. So that would be about right.
Yeah, that seems a little rich, no doubt. And look, the Bears value that his consistency and his availability and his continued like steady progression to being a very good player. Now, is he better than Cam Curl? I mean, we could argue that back and forth. I think maybe they're in that same range, but that's a lot of money for somebody who's maybe not exactly a difference maker, but like a solid starter. In we do have Ty Okada as an insurance policy, but the depth gets a little thin here.
Yeah, and this was the one I could have understood it if they brought him back. Having Okada as insurance is good. The concern for me was, again, looking back at Mike Macdonald at his time with the Ravens when Geno Stone got the big contract after having a great year under Coach Macdonald on his defense with the Ravens, and then going and being not the free agent signing that I think that the Bengals would have hoped. And I don't know if we're going to end up seeing that with Kobe, whether it's going to end up being system dependent, but having that strength again through the middle of the defense is what Mike Macdonald has really emphasized. And for Kobe being there, and we started to see more physicality from Kobe, I think, toward the end of the season, where this, to me, they were probably really close. And we know early on in the season, they were trying to get him for a little bit of a bargain. Kobe wanted to wait, bet on himself, and it turns out he won.
He did. I think what I'm seeing here on CBS Sports Tracker is 3 years and even $40 million. So again, okay. I think 13.3333, right? Out to infinity for Kobe. To me, that's a pretty spicy meatball. He's a good safety. And again, I give him a lot of credit. Great draft by John Schneider. That whole draft, it was very successful. But a 4th rounder, played opposite of Sauce Gardner at Cincinnati, and makes his way here, gets tossed around, finally kind of settles in as a safety, and then becomes a pretty darn good NFL safety. So a nice piece. And again, I feel if we got Ty Okada in the holster making $1.2 million next year, now you got to go add depth behind that. That's for sure. I think there's some dudes in the roster already, and maybe that becomes a position of need when the draft comes around, or other free agents, right? DeAnthony Bell can make his way back. I get win another steak and beer at him. With all that, look, guys, I'm totally happy. Like to this one, put these little experiments in vacuums. Okada at 1.2 or you bring back Coby at 13 mil. Like, I'd rather see that 13 mil floated somewhere else. And obviously at this point we don't have a choice, so I'm okay with it. But again, goes away a champion. It's cool. Chicago should be a pretty fun team, but they're having a pretty wild offseason themselves.
Well, speaking of places, the money did float. It is to Rashid Shaheed, who re-signed with the Seahawks, a 3-year, $51 million deal, so $17 million a year. And then you start doing the comparison to Kenneth Walker, compare it to Coby Bryant. Adam, does Rashid Shaheed warrant a greater contract than either one of those guys? And are you happy that he's back at that amount?
I am happy that he's back, no doubt about it. And it seemed as if when they made the trade that Rashid was pretty amenable to the idea of staying in Seattle. It seemed like it was a place he wanted to be and was excited about doing that. Honestly, at that dollar amount, I know it's more than the two guys you just mentioned, but in terms of wide receiver money, which Clinton, you did a great job of talking about a little bit earlier, in the world of ridiculousness that is wide receiver money, I thought Shaheed would get somewhere around 20, because I know as Seahawks fans, we all look at him and be like, yeah, great returner, hasn't done much as a receiver. But the thing is there's a lot of tape of him doing quite a bit as a receiver when he was in New Orleans. It's something that he can do. It's not speculation. So at the number, I like it a lot. But again, from kind of a team building exercise, it's tough for me. Because is it easier to replace a Rashid Shaheed type, or is it easier to replace a Kenneth Walker type?
Oh, that's. I think they're both special talents, actually. I don't know.
You only have the cap space to do one, because most of that $66 million is going to get eaten up by dudes that cannot leave, right?
Right, I agree, and I think we have again, talk about dudes in holsters. I think Torrey Horton, if healthy, and I have to assume health after a full half a year off, and then a off season to recuperate with the knee and the shin, whatever he had going, have to assume health. I think we had a Shaheed, maybe slight minus in the special teams game with Horton, maybe even not, and then maybe a plus receiver sitting there already because Horton proved he had a really good first half of his season, right? So, but one thing I do want to bring, and Brandon, I'll toss it to you first. Look, DK Metcalf is making $33 million a year. We want to talk about insanity for overpaying for wide receivers. DK's making 33 with the Shaheed contract. We got Cooper Kupp, Shaheed, and Horton right around $33 million a year. So which one? So, everything's kind of a system, right? So would you rather have DK at this point or the three dudes I just mentioned?
Yeah, 3 for the price of 1. And to me, when you compare Shaheed to Wan'Dale, who got a similar amount.
Ooh. No, he got more, dude. He got $19.5 million average.
Okay. It's similar-ish.
Similar-ish. It's 15% more.
So Wan'Dale does have a 1,000-yard receiving season. And so I think teams look at that and believe that stats matter. We've talked about for a while that yards don't matter, but touchdowns do, and special teams touchdowns. To me, the value of this contract is more heavily toward the special team side than the receiving side, although the stuff that he does at receiver in terms of opening up areas on the field, that even though if he's not getting the ball, there's that component to it too that helps make the offense run. And so that being a factor too, I think, if you were to ask me, would I rather have Wan'Dale Robinson at his amount or Rashid Shaheed, even at the Wan'Dale Robinson amount, I would take Shaheed.
Oh, without question. I do disagree with you, though, about paying him more for special teams and receiver. I think this is more of a bet on we barely scratched the surface as what he is as a receiver. Not what he can be, what he literally is. Like, again, it's not a projection. Like, again, we have a biased view of what he is as a receiver as a Seahawks fan just because of the way he was used so far as a Seahawk. His ceiling's way higher as a receiver than who are we at? The other guy you were talking about? What was his name?
Yeah, you've made your point.
With Wan'Dale?
Michael
Oh,
Knight
that guy,
into
yeah.
the chat with $10. Appreciate the $10 super chat, Michael. He says he's high on Price from North Dakota at 32. Yeah, we've got some draft talk to get into as well, so that's something to look forward to. Yokai Hawk asking, what is our projection of games missed due to injury for K9 versus Shaheed? And I don't know if I like the idea of predicting injuries for either of these guys, especially K9. Again, I think he gets a bad rap because one of the guys that we were looking at and interested in was Tyler Algier, who went to the Cardinals, unfortunately for him and for us.
Yeah.
But he led the league over the last 4 years in games played as a running back. He played 67 games. Kenneth Walker, over the last 4 years, played in 62 games, 5 games less than Tyler Algier. So it's not like games missed due to injury is that much of a difference. And Shaheed, in terms of his injuries, like he's been relatively healthy outside of his 2024 season in New Orleans. So he's played the 18 games this year, 24, and then before that, 15 games, 12 games in his rookie season as an undrafted free agent, which is pretty good for a UDFA.
Well, as Adam noted earlier, K9's going to get about 6 touches a game in Kansas City because
he'll have no problem staying healthy.
So he'll be healthy. To the point on Shaheed and his offensive production, not special teams production, this year before he got traded to Seattle, because he ended up playing 18 games because he got traded and then the bye weeks and stuff like that. So he had 9 games with New Orleans. He caught 44 passes this year. Mm-hmm. So Alec Pierce caught 47, his career high, and just made $30 million a year. So he had 44, a little over the halfway point. He had 499 yards before being traded as a receiver this year before being traded to Seattle. So Adam, to your point, it's on tape. 2023, he had 719 yards, 46 receptions for the full season. So it's on tape that he could be a legit 2 straddle 3. And then when you couple that with him being an all-pro special teamer, I'm with you. Dude, Wan'Dale Robinson got $19.5 million, and he's a horizontal threat who does not run a full route tree.
Yeah.
Gotcha, and then Shaheed. So give me Shaheed all day.
Yeah, we'll go back by me before we get into that. I said Price from Michael Knight, the Notre Dame running back, Jadarian Price. So Notre Dame running back, not North Dakota.
Oh, okay. Well, he's not going to be there, right?
He might be there. Yeah.
He's projected in that range.
Love.
Yeah.
Okay, Love is the one.
Love is the speedster, and but Price is very good too.
Okay, well,
he's real good.
Michael Knight knows his college football, man. So I'm all in.
I like the kid from Wake Forest. I like the kid from Nebraska. There's a few guys in this draft at running back, and I think Brandon's going to do a deep dive on backs this year and kind of break it down for us because he does a great job with that every year. And I'm excited to see where he lands on this stuff because I'm a little more hit or miss on those guys. But those are dudes that kind of jumped off the page to me.
I need a draft crush, and it needs to be a running back this year. So, Brandon, I am looking to you as well.
Well, we could start with Josh DeHuman with the $4.99 super chat saying Price, Johnson, Washington Jr., Washington, the Arkansas running back, I believe, all options for Hawks day 2. But when you say day 2, you really even could mean day 1 at the back end of the first round, unless we end up trading out of it. But again, lots of time to talk about that. I am looking forward to taking a look at the running backs. Elena McCullum, Rams defense definitely upgraded. They I think they copied the Chiefs secondary.
Yeah, basically, right? So they get McDuffie a couple days ago, pay him $1 bazillion. They re-signed Cam Curl, and then who did they grab today?
They got the other
Jalen. Jalen Watson, right? So okay, big contract again, $51 million. So I like the Kansas City defense, but I'm not really sure it's the people or it's Spagnuolo just doing really cool things, system wise over and over again. I don't really know Jalen Watson all that much as an NFL player, so I can't really profess too much. You guys have any beat on him?
Watson's fine. Like again, these two guys, McDuffie's for
good.
Me is good, but not great. Like he got
not
paid
top
like
corner in the league, paid great.
No, I don't even know if he's probably top 10.
Yeah.
He's are right at the edge of it. I mean, if we were to start to go
but they
through,
paid him number one corner money.
Right, and gave up a crap ton in picks too. Like, I mean, the Rams strategy is very clear, right?
Oh, yeah.
We only have a year or two left to Stafford. We're going all in, F them picks again. And that's fine. I mean, so did the Rams defense get better? Do I think those two corners are a step up from where they were last year? Sure. Is it a monumental step forward for those guys? I don't think it is, especially when you put it into the context of what they paid both in treasure, in draft capital, and in actual dollars.
Well, one of the dudes they'll be not retaining now, I think, right, is rumored as Ahkello Witherspoon, who was actually really good for them. He was a good Ram. So, okay. I mean, I don't know. Witherspoon was cheap and pretty good. So, hey, if the Rams want to go bigger and spend a lot more money there, fine. Again, if they want to go win the offseason on day one of free agency, go right ahead. Because look, people talk about the Rams as if I know it was close and it seemed close, 31-27. We were up 11 getting the ball back until Riq Woolen did one of the dumbest things of all time. We were up 11 getting the ball. We were about to put that game really, really away, in my opinion.
Clinton.
And what?
Clinton.
What?
Come on. Like, if you look at the 3 games between the Seahawks and the Rams, the margin of difference between these two teams is very small.
Sure.
Like, that's just being honest.
And the last one, they were on the ropes.
Right. And so, you can take a small sample size.
And we were on the ropes in the one before that.
Yes,
right, exactly. And say, that's the evidence is that 3 quarters when you can have 3 games of evidence that you put together.
And the first one, we lose by 2 on a field goal where our quarterback had four interceptions.
Very close.
Oh, yeah, look, I think it's less close than it was advertised.
That's crazy. Those two teams are neck and neck, and our number one goal this offseason is to stay ahead of the Rams in the arms race. Like that's gotta be our focus. And it is tight, man. It is tight. If we're being honest, in my opinion.
And we were up 11 with getting the ball back. Up 11. That's a lot of points. A lot of points.
And we'll hear all offseason about how Matt Stafford is put together with Band-Aids and super glue. And then he'll come out and play like a normal quarterback for the entire year. That's just what'll keep happening. Thanks to Michael Knight coming back in with a $5 super chat. And we had a little talk about Bradley Chubb still being out there and available on the defensive line.
I like Chubb. If you could get him. Yeah, but he's pretty good at rushing the passer.
He was until hasn't he blown out his knee twice now?
I don't know. He's got 2 B's in his last name, so probably.
I guess I'm always sour about Bradley Chubb because he's somebody that the Broncos chose over Josh Allen, and that when that pick went down, I just was apoplectic. Like, I could not believe that's what they did.
And I think that's probably why you didn't see Chubb be a day one addition either, because he's probably one of the guys where unless there's going to be a team that is willing to pay for him without bringing him into their building, because while you can do all of this quote unquote legal tampering, which is discussion with the agents and having a contact through them now with the players just 2 days before free agency, to bring somebody into your building is something you cannot do until the actual league year starts. And I feel like the NFL would be very strict about that.
Just some quick stats, right? Because sacks are very much like the glory stat for these types of dudes. He did not play in 2024. In 2022, he had 8 sacks. In 2023, he had 11 sacks. And last year, he had 8.5 sacks. Still gets to the quarterback pretty effectively. It's a pretty good track record.
Yeah.
Nuosu had 7.
Not a needle mover for me, but I mean, maybe it is for other people, and that's totally fine.
We're talking about no. I mean, I think we have to just put it in the mix of he maybe replaces Mafe.
At what dollar amount?
I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what I'm saying.
Like, I just feel like you got to pay somebody who's put up like some numbers, has a first round pedigree in all of that, maybe a little bit of a higher amount than we might be comfortable with.
Yeah, for sure. That is correct. But who knows? Maybe he's also, I don't know. He's been on some really poor franchises, and maybe he wants to go chip chasing a little bit. Don't know.
All right. Well, one other guy who is coming back, and the disrespect by the NFL to not have a graphic for our dude, Josh Jobe. He's still out here getting disrespected. I had to go back to the old graphic that the Seahawks posted when they signed him a year ago. Wow. So Josh Jobe back with the Seahawks, and Clinton, look at this graphic right here. Lowest completion percentage allowed, all defenders in the 2025 NFL season. Josh Jobe in the top 5, allowing just 47.7 completion percentage. Only 3 guys did it better. Jamel Dean, Quinyon Mitchell, Derek Stingley, all those guys really, really good. And we got Josh Jobe for 3 years, $24 million. How's that sounding to you, buddy?
Absolute steal, guys. Absolute steal. This is the best move of the day. This is the most significant move of the day. We knew K9 was going. Coby was like, we'll see what happens. Getting Shaheed's nice. Back is nice. This is a steal. You're getting cornerback 2 for $8 million a year. I saw dudes getting signed all day that I don't think holds Jobe's jock for, and they're getting $15 million. So somehow, some way, he took a hometown discount. I thought he could have pushed for more. This smells of being a good way. Like when Ernest Jones took the contract he took, it's like, really, Ernest, you could have made more money. I'm happy you didn't, and go get all the other checks and sponsorships and live an awesome life in the PMW. And thank you. But Adam, saw you nodding your head, dude. And this, to me, this is a home run contract for our team.
Josh Schneider is a wizard, and this is a wizard deal. When you can get a starting cornerback for, what's top of the league for corners? About 30 million? Is 30. That about where it is?
Yeah, I think that's about what McDuffie got, right?
Yeah. So in the bottom, like 25 or 25th percentile of money for a starting corner, like that is unfreaking believable. These are the types of deals. This is basically the equivalent of cornerback Sam Darnold, right? Like bringing in Sam Darnold for the money that he did and get the type of play that we got out of him. This is the equivalent of that in the cornerback room. And I'm just fired up for this. And thank you for taking that contract, Josh Jobe. Maybe he just really valued being in Seattle and the brotherhood and all of that stuff, and maybe left money on the table. It's hard to say, but if the league really did value him at $8 million APY, the league is fucking stupid.
Yeah, 4 years, $124 million for Trent McDuffie, so about $31 million a year. For another cost comparison, a guy on this list, Jamel Dean, he did get a 3-year deal for $36 million to go to the Steelers. So
holy hell,
still $4 million over what Josh Jobe got to stay here in Seattle.
Yeah, it's a look. JC Horn had a nice contract last year, but these are bigger names, right? Patrick Surtain, JC Horn, 24, 25 million. Jalen Ramsey's over 20. He's 21 million. And then McDuffie, and it was Ahmad Gardner from Indianapolis, they're just throwing money around. I don't know where they get all of it, but he's making $30 million a year. Stingley got a contract at 30 million. So those guys kind of reset the market at 30 million, which we're going to see when Devin Witherspoon gets extended. He's going to be a $30 million guy. But to your point, guys, you got to really scroll pretty far down before you get to like even the $10 million range, the $8 million range for cornerbacks. So absolute steal for Joe. Very, very happy about that contract. He was my number one last offseason. He was my number one, like, hey, I need to see a second year of Josh Jobe being good, because I had fallen in love and been fooled by like Seattle's second cornerbacks, like Trey Brown. I was a big Trey Brown guy for many, many years. And he turned out to be okay. And then he kind of flamed out that last year. Josh Jobe, in a year where I really feel like he had to prove it in a second solid year, I think he did that and then some. I think this is an absolute home run deal.
Just steady, good player.
Yeah.
And now you have Jobe, and you will have Witherspoon locked up and Eamon Wari. You know, that's a great starting point, right? And so when you're trying to figure out what you're going to do in terms of Riq Woolen coming up here, because it is freaking fascinating that Riq did not get a deal day one, and he might still get it in this first wave. We'll see.
We're still first. I mean, free agency starts Wednesday. So again, for people like Jeremy Stevens, who says all this is good news, but I'm still sad about losing K9. You can still hold out hope that free agency doesn't actually legit start, and none of these deals are official until Wednesday. So you could just hold out hope until Wednesday rolls around and it becomes official.
Yeah, sure. But with that said, I kind of feel like the idea that the league looks at Riq and goes, we're not clamoring for you right out the gates, is a really interesting evaluation from the entire NFL. And I don't know any of this. None of this is fact or anything like that. But I feel like that Riq is one of those dudes that, like, when he gets money, you worry about. And maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm totally off base. I don't know. But that's just where my gut is with that. I don't know if you guys kind of have a similar beat on that, or.
Well, I have a question for both of you, because Riq has not left. He hasn't signed with another team yet. Is there a number where you go, yeah, that makes sense? I'd be happy with Riq coming back at that number.
Jobe money.
Well, then he gone for that kind of money. Looking at the numbers that are there, you got dudes like Marlon Humphrey making shy of 20 million. You got Alante Taylor getting paid today, a little shy of 20 million. L'Jarius Sneed, he's a $19 million guy. These are like the second tier guys, Brandon. But you got the McDuffies that we just talked about. Then like JC Horn, Patrick Surtain, like they're like 24, 25 million. You kind of get down to the next cliff, and it's like AJ Terrell's at 20, Denzel Ward's at 20. Carlton Davis is at 18 million. Travarius Ward's right in that range. I think it's like a $20 million guy. I think that's about the range. And he makes some bonehead plays, and he's also a darn good cover corner. He just is. He's extremely talented. And I think $20 million is still good value for a dude with that kind of skill set.
I agree that it's a good value number outside of the Seahawks, but I am specifically talking about could Seattle do? If they brought him back for 20 and we let K9 walk for 15, I would be pissed.
I'd be furious. I'd be absolutely furious. And look, at the end of the day, too, if we're thinking about managing the cap going forward, if you're going to pay somebody like Riq Woolen $20 million a year, that makes it even harder to get JSN at what is he going to go for?
42?
41?
Yeah,
like a year. And then what Spoon gonna get? He's gonna get close to top of the market, if not top of the market.
He's probably gonna reset it. McDuffie just got 31, and if I'm Spoon's agent, I'm sitting there being like, he does everything, way more impactful as the joker piece of the star piece that McDonald uses him, or even Wari, and kind of flips him back and forth. Just look at the Super Bowl and you'll see Devin Witherspoon absolutely everywhere.
Yeah, and look, I agree. Close to your assessment on Riq, Clinton. I think he's a pretty good player. Like, he has some highs, no doubt, but the lows are so dang low that you can't say he's a very good player, like, in my mind, right? He's pretty good. It's just the inconsistency. I can't pay somebody like that $20 million a year, on top of the fact that, although better this year tackling, I'm sorry, it's just still too soft for me. Maybe other people see it differently. Maybe they see him as more of an integral part than I do. But I do feel like, after watching Kendrick last year come in and play, watching them find Jobe from the Eagles, and now having him signed long-term, I have a lot of confidence that John and Mike can go out and find another corner that we're not thinking about at all, because none of us had Josh Jobe on our list a couple of years ago.
No, nobody did. Even the Eagles fans didn't.
Exactly,
right. And now he's a solid starter that you want to hang your hat on. So I feel like that's a pretty replaceable position because of John and Mike's talent of being able to find corners.
I like that, philosophically in general. I think that's correct. Right. And in a season where, like, Schneider has earned every right to go do what he wants to go do, he's going to do it anyway. And he's earned the right. And McDonald is who he is. I'm with you. I think I'm with both you guys. Like, yeah, we could find especially if Jobe is locked up, which he now is as cornerback 2, we could find whoever that depth piece might be and not have to spend $20 million plus on it.
We got Misfit in chat saying Devin Lloyd to the Panthers.
They made some good moves today.
We've got a super chat from Godzero Hawk for $10. I hope Riq gets a massive bag for the 2027 comp pick. And the Seahawks are doing well for comp picks. I know some people like to track that in real time, and because really it only becomes official around February or March of next year. And based off of the current contracts, people speculating that we'd be at I think a 4th and 2/5 based on the contracts that K9, Coby Bryant, and Boye Mafe got, with Mafe being the one that would lead to a 4th rounder. I know some people are hoping for a 3rd, and who knows? Maybe Riq does get that massive bag so he can get us into the 3rd round comp pick range. That would be, I think, the best situation for everybody.
Yeah, I want Riq to get paid for his sake, no doubt about it. Like, I really do hope he keeps getting them checks at that level. Counting comp picks before they're hatched is ridiculous to me. Like, let me know when they're actually awarded, and then we'll be happy about them. But that's a year away. Couldn't care less. It's a formula that we don't fully understand, or we're always kind of like, maybe it'll be about that. I just, who cares?
No, the important part is knowing that John Schneider has played this game in the past, especially when they've had to deal with people leaving the team. And when you have a really good team and can't pay everybody, this is one of the side benefits that you could say that, okay, you've done a great job drafting to the point to where you can't pay everybody. Now, at least you get compensated some draft picks for guys who end up signing for really high dollar amounts at other places. And yeah, it doesn't matter quite yet, but it'll matter a year from now.
Yeah. Again, out there, that's a year from now. That's like 7 football lifetimes.
Well,
like
to Mark's point, though, right? Godzero Hawk's point. The bigger the bag, the better the comp pick might be. So if Riq's going to go, then let Riq get the biggest bag possible. So whatever the ghost, comp pick is in the future, it has the best chance of being the best it could be. How about that?
All right. Hey, Misfit had a comment earlier about positional value that I thought was an interesting one. And I'm not completely sure that I agree with him. I'm not sure that I disagree with him either, though, saying that they kind of focused on, positions of value more so than the ones that aren't. And I'm sure he's referring to safety and running back not being positions of value in comparison to wide receiver and corner. And I do agree on the corner front, but when it comes to wide receiver, running back, I think the league is absolutely shifting. I think this is starting to happen. I think they're starting to figure it out, what it means to have a legitimate run game against defenses that live in shell coverage. And their values are going to continue to go up. And I think running back has always been a position of extreme value. The league has disagreed with me for a long time. And I think the last 2 years, it's become self-evident as the circle of football life kind of continues to move here. So, yeah, I don't know.
Well,
Michael Knight in chat saying, seriously, wouldn't we have been okay with a franchise tag for K9 at 14.2 mil?
Well, it's the perfect time for that, right? Because Adam, what you're saying and reflecting what Misfit was sharing as well, when we got on a couple of weeks ago, I was making a similar argument, being like, I think the whole league is inverted or lopsided, especially with wide receivers and other positions, that wouldn't it make sense to quote unquote overpay a little bit to a running back when things are probably starting to turn the other way? Maybe you're a year or two ahead of that curve. And I still feel like we would have been better off just keeping K9. I know it's water under the bridge. You can't cry about it. But to your point, that's exactly why I think a quote unquote overpay for that position was fine, especially for a special talent, when down the stretch, we ran the crap out of the ball. And oh, by the way, he was your Super Bowl MVP.
Yeah. And look, I think that there's probably 5 dudes in this draft that could do Shaheed things like that. The kind of, special teams, punt returner, fast, stretches the field, maybe not the most dynamic route runner, but just sheer speed, and you can use gadgety things with, and again, still play on special teams. How many of those dudes come out in the draft every single freaking year at the wide receiver position? Like, there's a zillion of them that are developing the skills week in, week out, because that's all college football leans on is horizontal game, bubbles, all that stuff. And like, there's just a ton of dudes who are 5'10" to 6 foot, 185 that run a 4.3. Like, it just, they literally grow on trees. And like, that's why I feel like paying this wide receiver market is absolute freaking insanity to me. I don't know.
And that's why, again, I leaned more toward the special teams side, because what have we seen John Schneider do is put the premium onto the special teams guys, paying the punter, paying the kicker, and now paying a kick returner. And that's why I think that it ended up making Shaheed worth the extra premium over maybe some of the other wide receiver guys that you just see playing wide receiver.
And not only that, Brandon, but to your point, John Schneider investing heavily in special teams and your specialists, that won us a Super Bowl this year in comparison to the Rams, right? Like, the Rams would be Super Bowl champions this year if they gave two fucks about special teams. But Sean McVay can't be bothered with special teams. It's boring to him. He doesn't care. And they've showed it over and over again with their actions. And it cost them dearly this year.
Similarly, we quote unquote overspent or overinvested in a really good field goal kicker, a top 3 punter, and special teams units led by Shaheed. And it paid off in every single dividend it possibly could have paid off in, right? Yeah, man, it's still a very important component of the game. So I'm happy we made that investment and quote unquote pay too much for a good field goal kicker. Fine.
Shane Turner Acoustic with the $2.99 Australia. My guys, thank you for the show. Now pay Josh Jones. Yeah, look, the longer Josh Jones can not be announced as a free agent signing for another team, the better for us, because I would be very happy for Josh Jones to come back and return and be our backup swing tackle.
He seems like a second or third wave kind of guy, right? Yeah. Being the backup swing tackle type. But again, we talk about wide receivers growing on trees, because they literally do. Functional tackles absolutely do not. There is an absolute abyss of quality tackle play that you would think teams would want to pay a little bit of a premium for. And you talk about premium positions, that's tackle. And Josh Jones, you asked earlier, do we win a Super Bowl without this guy or this guy or this guy? We do not win a Super Bowl without Josh Jones. We absolutely don't. Like, with Cross going down and him coming in and playing good football, like that made all the difference in the world.
If
like,
Amari Kite were out there, it would not have been the same.
It would
probably not. Most likely not. Although he had that nice block on that K9 touchdown to the left-hand side when he was in there, but then he got hurt, right? So to your, I love Josh Jones. I love the point from Shane too. Look, Gardner Minshew just got $8.5 million to be a backup again, I think, in Arizona. Mariota just got $7 million to be a backup, a 1-year deal to be a backup again. And I realize those are quarterbacks, but a swing tackle is super valuable. It is extremely valuable. And dudes go down all the time on the offensive line. We had an incredibly healthy year, and it's one of the components of most Super Bowl teams. Most often, they had a healthy year.
Well, to be Clinton, like, if you're somebody like the Houston Texans, right? I mean, your entire offensive line is literally the worst in football.
And people are signing their dudes for big money today. I'm like, why?
How? Like, exactly. Like, how there's a zillion of those teams, right? Who are in search of a starting caliber tackle. And Jones put enough on tape that I think some GM somewhere is going to look at him and be like, that's worth a risk. Like, that's a better solution than the dumpster fire that we rolled out there for, the last 3 seasons. Because another thing that has become self-evident to the league, and I think this will really start to change the landscape of football drastically over the next 10 years, is that offensive line play, not just tackles, but specifically interior guys as well, is shown to be more than a premium position. It is literally the foundation of your football team. And I do think that GMs are waking up to this. It's weird. It's weird to see that the league that's so smart got bamboozled by 2010s football in fantasy football numbers and just started to not care about offensive line. And it's bit them in the ass. And you start to see, I think this is the beginning of a revolution for offensive linemen in terms of getting paid. And once they start getting paid, then more dudes who are in college are going to eschew playing defense to play offense because there's less competition to get paid at the next level. And the athleticism and quality of offensive linemen will start to go up. And at that point, you'll start to find some balance again between defensive line and offensive line.
Well, to your point, Adam, did you see the Tyler Linderbaum contract today?
I did not, but I'm very curious as to where he went because
careful.
Yeah,
he went to the Raiders, and 3-year contract. What do you suppose a center on a 3-year contract goes for nowadays?
I have no idea. I'm gonna guess because I actually don't know where the center market is. 22 a year,
$27 million a year.
And worth every motherfuck penny.
It is not only the most for a center ever, it is more than what we paid Charles Cross APY.
Woo! Wow. I didn't really realize that. That's impressive. And good for Linderbaum. And center lives matter. And as somebody who played center before everybody else grew in 7th grade and I couldn't play anymore, I love centers and I'm glad he got paid. Good for him. Keep getting them checks.
He definitely got paid.
And Brandon, you bring up Charles Cross, and it was something we were texted about a little bit earlier today, or Adam, maybe it was when I was talking to you from the road. It is at least worth noting that we could have entered this round of free agency because the draft we had 4 years ago was phenomenal. I mean, you're talking go up and down the entire thing. It's like 7 dudes are getting extended right now or had extensions. But I think a little bit of credit is due to Schneider to be like, look, we walked into free agency with Abe Lucas and Charles Cross already inked.
Yeah.
Like, it's huge. Your anchors you got 4 years ago, and you got Abe Lucas back. It's the exact contracts, guys, when I'm saying, hey, maybe Derek Hall would take money right now. And we went through the same exact conversation with Abe before Abe got his money. And my argument was, guys, you don't know. Like, guaranteed block of money. And Abe might be like, yeah, I was hurt and I have a degenerative thing potentially, right? So I'm going to take my money. And he had a nice, good year. But that's why I think, Brandon, maybe Hall would take that nice chunk of change. But I do want to reflect and give some love for the fact that our 2 anchors locked up. And I love the point you just pointed out that cheaper than one center. That's amazing.
Yeah, it's John Schneider is a wizard. I think we've said that once already. And Navajo Egg Rolls pointed out a while back in chat that John Schneider getting Jobe, Okada, and Drake Thomas, 3 starters for about $13 million total APY.
Wizard.
Very sick.
Yeah.
I do have one name from today that I believe this is correct. And chat, if I'm wrong, you know what to do. But I did see that Elgton Jenkins from the Packers got waived. Right. So he's a big boy center. He's making, I think, $17 million a year. So he's out there now all of a sudden
the
too.
Bears' new center.
No, they
got
they
Bradbury,
traded for
right?
Cushenberry.
Oh, did
right
they?
from the Patriots. Right?
Yeah. Yeah. And it's like, I guess, I mean, if that's what you want to do,
Well, they had to do something. Yeah, had to do something.
I do have one more question for you guys because I was thinking about this today. We've talked a lot going into free agency and the draft here about how this is going to be one of these next 2 years are really going to be some of the most fascinating off seasons that one can watch as a fan because of the challenge of staying on top and all of that. Did the moves today signal anything to you? Like the Rams, they did what they've done so far in the offseason. It really does signal F them picks. We're going for it. We're doing it now. Like we are double, tripling, quadrupling down. Do these moves point to something like that? Or John being like, hey, maybe we don't make it to a Super Bowl again next year, but I'm going to make this so that we are in the talk of that for the next 5 years. Or has there not been enough to have gone down yet to really kind of feel that one way or the other?
I think for the moves for Seattle, it feels very much like we're used to with John Schneider. And so I'm glad that as far as the chat, I feel like the most outspoken that I've seen folks is that the next move that has to happen is that we re-sign Josh Jones. I think that that's a very healthy expectation to have, because that might be like the very last move that we make in free agency. And it's very possible that we don't go out and sign anybody here in the first wave that is coming from another team. Like that's kind of how Schneider has looked at free agency, apart from a few years where he's gone out and tried to do the slam dunk thing right away. And that, I suppose that was last year when they made all the flurry of moves, and not needing to do that this year. I think that it's probably going to be one of those years where you try and find value and you try and draft well, and you run it back with that idea of trying to be more long-term in your outlook than run it back and do. Although, if he can find a trade out there to make it happen, that makes us, we go, like if he goes out and he trades all our draft picks for Myles Garrett. Okay.
The Ricky Williams deal, right? Yeah. Get a rescue Myles. I mean, for me,
I'm out on Myles Garrett, by the way. I do not test a guy who looks everybody dead in the mother eye, like in the last offseason, and goes, yeah, no, I want to win a chip. That's all I'm not signing back here. And then they throw a bag in front of him, and he's like, yeah, I can be bought. Yeah. Like, nope, you don't
Cleveland
care about
Browns
winning
for life. That's me.
Yeah.
He's a lifer. But we got a name here with Jeff Stevens that I wanted to bring up too. He's saying, thank God we locked up Ernest Jones IV. Completely right. But Ernest Jones IV was partly how I wanted to answer your question, Adam, about this offseason. It's like, look, these are nice moves, and there's some casualties. That's fine. We're still going to sign some dudes, and your tackles are locked up. Your left guard is locked up. Your center is a cheap UDFA. Your quarterback is locked up. Your tight ends are locked up. Your linebackers are locked up. Your defensive tackles are locked up. DeMarcus Lawrence is under contract. Your wide receiver room is under contract. Your safety, you just lost one, but your other safeties are locked up. The core of this team has gone nowhere yet. Nowhere. So if there's some monies being shuffled here and there and they reload, whatever that looks like, the core of this team, yes, is there a little bit of ding today? And I think K9 being the biggest talent ding. Yeah. But the core of what made this team really, really special to begin with, it's sitting right there anyway. It's one day of free agency. We didn't spend dumb. So I'm cool with that, Adam. I don't know if you had a different take or if you were somewhere else.
No, I'm kind of all over the map, and I don't know that anything really signals one thing one way or the other. I did like everybody in the chat joking about Myles Garrett being into poetry, and like that's not really a problem for me. Like if you've got a DN that's awesome that's into poetry, and like he sacks the quarterback and he's like, roses are red, violets are blue, I just sacked your ass, fuck you. I like that. Like I'd take that guy. Like I don't care.
That's probably my speed of poetry.
Yeah.
Buckeye 2025 saying Achane trade possibility question mark. That would
God,
be one.
Yes, please.
Yeah. If you want to give up if we gave up a third rounder for Achane,
you think,
sure.
Man, if we can get a third rounder for Achane, I'd run it to the thing. I'd give up personally. I'd give up the 32nd pick overall right now. Achane is a superstar, and he's been on a middling team. That dude's a superstar, man. Top to bottom, and he'd be perfect in the wide zone scheme. Perfect. 32nd pick.
He's more of a one-trick pony than a superstar.
No, if that trick is getting lots of yards on the ground through the air over and over and over again, then that's a cool trick.
His trick is getting to the edge with speed and speed only. He doesn't have a second gear to his game. To me,
because his first gear is turbo. He's fast, dude. If you mean like a strength gear, like going between the tackles, I could understand that. But we are going to be a wide zone team. Like he's not a weakling. I think K9 has more play strength. I would agree with that. Achane is.
And more elusiveness.
I think they're pretty much the same.
Achane's a one cut and go guy.
And this is why I said third round pick. Outside Upside saying, what would it cost to extend Achane, though? That's to me,
Money.
you wouldn't let Ken Walker walk, give up a first round pick, and then pay Devon Achane after 1 year of production in Seattle. I think that would be, I don't know, that would make no sense to me to actually do that. So it would be the third round for a 1 year rental type idea where you're giving up a third and then he goes into free agency after a year, and then you end up getting a fifth round comp pick the year after that. So that it then ends up kind of rounding out in terms of your rental and draft compensation.
Okay. I could be moved to a second round pick. That's fine. I like that. I like that argument because you do got to sign him, but I could give up a second for a what? Look, we just gave a fourth and a fifth for Shaheed. Now we got him back, but that certainly wasn't guaranteed until a couple hours ago.
It's going to be fascinating, boys. It's been interesting so far, no doubt about it. Do you think, this would be my last question for you guys, are you looking for John to find competition for Super Bowl champion and starting right guard Anthony Bradford? I had to put that before his name because we take all the dumps on him all the time as a fan base. We've done it for a couple of years, and no doubt he has his lows. He also has his highs. He is a Super Bowl champion. He was the starting guard and brought home a Lombardi. Do you look for him to maybe try to find a value addition, or do we go out and get my draft crush in Dunker to come in and
I knew Dunker would be your draft crush, and now we can't. Right? And now we can't get him because we traded our first round pick for Devon Achane. Clinton.
Where's Dunker play? I need to find this boy.
Oh, have you not seen him?
Oh, he played for Iowa, dude. Oh, you go find yourself some Dunker.
You just look at his mullet and you know that he's going to be an awesome guard.
It's a red mullet.
It's a red mullet.
It's amazing.
All right. I'm just on that alone. I'm pretty much sold. No, I mean,
would it be too powerful of an offense to have Dunker and Sam Darnold both
too much
playing on that side of the football at one time?
It's an unholy alliance that can never be beaten, and I'm into it. Let's go. Let's go with the ginger mullet. I'm in.
Yeah, I think Seattle likes their room. You know, I think they like Cable Do and stuff like that. From just hearing insiders talk about it, that they like the prospects for Cable Do. So I don't expect them to try and go sign somebody. No,
anybody who likes Cable Do, he's not a starter.
I'd
like him as a backup.
Look, I don't think so either. I think they believe he can compete at right guard. Fine, that's fine. But I still look. We talked about it 2 days ago, Brandon, or was yesterday, where I'm like, I don't know why people are not talking about the 36nd pick overall being the very best guard off the board. Cool. Take the very best guard and let's make a good young offensive line and make it an absolutely freaking stellar young offensive line. I like that plan.
I love that plan. I also believe there's a 30% chance that we pick at 32.
All right.
That's just a gut feeling.
Well, you know, with the trading the fourth and fifth, we know John likes his picks, right? I think it's also a matter of, is there a Nick Imanwari type dude where he's like, oh my God, I can't believe this dude's here. Right. And at 32, you get the 5th-year option. Then it's like, it's really attractive to stay here. But who knows? Who knows?
Josh Newman with 199 saying, give me Dunker or Stevens, please. And Bo Stevens, the other Iowa guard, Adam.
Oh, I see.
Look, man, those boys are corn-fed and ready to roll, man. They probably picked up rocks to the field just like Zabel, and those are the type of men that you want up front, just destroying defensive players and carving big holes for people like Charbonnet to just make one cut and make everybody look stupid and set up the entire offense. I would love to get it for the rest of free agency in the draft. If we concentrated mainly on the trenches, I think that's a solid plan to find value and then also to keep this going for the next 4 or 5 years. And so that's where I would be really, really excited for.
Especially with the amount of depth that we have currently. And you now see Riley Mills on the bench, and now you can get excited about him coming back in year 2. So, you know, are there those guys who end up falling due to injury to where you go, okay, well, hey, we're pretty stacked. and we can take a chance on a guy who maybe got injured during the year and is going to fall back then to a second or third round type pick. It does give us a lot of flexibility, not having super immediate needs on either side of the ball.
For sure, which I think frees John up, right, to focus more on BPA, best player available.
And it could be long-term. It doesn't have to be the best player that you think is going to be there now. It could be the pass rusher who he might need a couple years to develop.
Correct. And so this is where, like, you've heard me bang on BPA in years past, and I will do that when there are glaring needs that have never been addressed for years and years and years, right?
Left guard.
Yes, like, address the need. Like, sometimes you have to pick for need. Sometimes you're in a position where BPA makes more sense with a very complete roster and not losing, to your point, Clinton, core players.
Yeah.
As you talked about earlier, I'm more in the bucket of trusting John to just find BPA with a draft where you don't have a ton of picks, in that being good for the team long term.
I don't believe in BPA. I think it's a myth. I think I'm not saying I don't think it's not. I don't believe in it. I don't think NFL GMs actually do it. I think they always look at nothing's in a complete vacuum. And the example I gave 2 days ago, Brandon, I think it was, is like, oh, there's rumors that Sadiq, the tight end from Oregon, might fall all the way to the back of the first round and to 32. And he's an absolute beast and the Vernon Davis type. Cool. If he's there, we're not taking a tight end. He might be the BPA.
Then you let another team trade up into that spot who really needs a tight end.
That I like. That plan I like. I just don't subscribe to BPA. I don't think NFL GMs actually do BPA. I think they like to talk that, and they like to sound smart that they're so stoic about this thing. And then there's some dial and combination of the best player that they think is available in something they actually do need. Now, that could be them projecting 2 to 3 years down the road because the NFL changes fast. And like the 49ers would have been wise to draft like a left tackle a couple of years ago at this point, but they just keep not doing that. But I just don't subscribe or bow to the altar of BPA. I just don't think it's actually what happens. So whatever.
I'm just saying it's a spectrum, right?
Oh, like, I agree. It is a spectrum.
It is. When you're in this position, maybe you lean harder.
We're closer. Right. We're closer to, because we are pretty stacked and we just won the whole thing. Now, look, a couple of years ago, the Kansas City Chiefs certainly thought they were in that same position, right? They absolutely, this is like after winning the Super Bowl, they're picking 32nd, and the story goes Andy Reid actually gets on the phone with Patrick Mahomes, not Dad, Pat Mahomes, and goes, well, who do you want? And he goes, get me, Clyde Edwards-Helaire.
Yeah.
Whoops.
I liked him. So I would have made the same mistake.
I liked him too, but that's a bit of hubris and, like BPA, he's the best player available. All right. I just, again, I don't subscribe to it. I think when they do it, I don't know. To me, it's Brandon, don't know if you have an opinion on this, but I like taking dudes that I could see contributing within a year or two, because there is some sort of a gap there, or there will be a gap because of roster construction.
If I were a general manager drafting players, I would always let everyone know that I drafted the best player at the position that I took them at, because that would be silly to say anything different.
Yes, exactly. And things can be two things, right? When we took Zabel,
if you drafted dude the 6, you can't look at dude square in the eyes and say, no, I drafted you there because you're the best player at that position. Now you're a liar.
Best player available at the 6th round.
Okay, all the other ones left were already off the board.
Available. Yeah.
Well, speaking of some of the best flockers available, I want to say thanks to the Snail, who came in as a member for 41 months. Michael Knight, who came in with Super Chat. Josh DeHuman, who also came in. Michael Knight was back in as well. Godzilla Hawk, Shane Turner Acoustic, Josh DeHuman. Really appreciate everybody who joined us here live. If you stuck around and you hadn't yet to this point decided that you liked what you're listening to, you can go ahead and hit the like button and subscribe. That way you get all of our shows wherever you decide to listen to the show.
Very nice.
Yeah, and if you don't, then you agree with Clinton that BPA is a myth and that's a lie. So no pressure.
No pressure.
And I think with that,
There's only one thing left to say.
go Hawks.
Go Hawks.
Go Hawks.